All right. So, everyone, welcome to Can Conversations. I am Yolanda Brinkley, creator of Diversity in Can, the independent film movement promoting inclusion at the Cannes Film Festival. In response to the pandemic, we have pivoted and we have taken our showcase online, and we are celebrating Black History Month with Black history makers here, and we bring you the incomparable animation director extraordinaire, Mr.
All right.
Lyndon Barrois. If you know that name, if by chance you know that name, he is the better half of Janine Sherman Barrois, executive producer, writer from Claws, CSI, Self-Made, the Madam C.J. Walker story. So just in case you know that name, I just have to shout out his better half, Janine, just for anyone who may or may not know. With
Gotta
that,
shout her out.
yeah, exactly. We're going to get started. I'm going to read a little of the bio, and just so we can get an introduction. And here we go. So Lyndon J. Barrois Sr. is an
Mhm.
artist, animation director, filmmaker. As a member of the AMPAS Visual Effects Executive Branch, Lyndon Barrois 30 plus year career in art and animation is marked by a practice and many comers of the field. His early stop motion work won him accolades while still a master student at the California Institute of Arts for his unique and innovative procedure of chewing gum wrappers as his medium of choice to create his, Lord, wait a minute, Lyndon, I can't even see, what's that, sport traits?
Portraits, yes.
Sportraits, okay, because listen, of historic athletic figures and events. He continues that technique today with the added components of shooting and editing his films entirely on iPhone. That is awesome. In 1990, after officials from the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum saw an NBC Today Show segment highlighting Barrois' wondrous work, Ripley's curators purchased 15 original sculptures, mostly from his Super Bowl series, and has displayed his portraits, got it now, around the world ever since. You know, lately, Lyndon is directing short films. He is and has worked on, well, not necessarily lately, but Lyndon is doing big things right now. So I'm going to welcome him to the conversation and let him tell us a little bit about some of the things that I did not mention.
I mean, you covered it. You covered it all. It's like, the history in film. Yeah, I've done like 20 or so features. Hence, being a member of the Academy now for almost 2 years. Yeah, and then I've done VR work. I had a VR company for about 5 years. I co-founded it, so I had some partners. And
Okay.
then when we closed that, then I turned my attention back to my miniatures, and for the last few years I've just been cranking out films, short films and sculptures for festival circuit and museum and gallery exhibition.
Oh,
And
okay.
now I'm doing more work now with the Unreal Virtual Production Engine. That Epic, that's created by Epic Games. So yeah, still going back and forth between the stop motion and the digital work.
Okay. Well, that's
It's been
awesome.
fun.
In this industry, you have to be multi-hyphenate. You have to be able to do multiple things, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, it helps. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Listen, absolutely helps. Keeps checks flowing in, keeps coins rolling. So listen, I don't begrudge you or your efforts. So tell us about your short films because, well, I was introduced to you via your wife, but
hmm
shortly after you submitted a project to the Diversity in Can Short Film Showcase, which was an official selection. So
Yeah.
tell us about that.
So that's the film Prize Fighter. It's again of the things that I call sportraits. It's portraits of sports figures. So it's portraits. And Prize Fighter is a portrait of Jack Johnson. So it is an animated piece on Jack Johnson about his life. Was focusing on 3 days of his life. Um, And so, yeah, I appreciate, you guys screened it. I really appreciate it. I'm really still sorry that I couldn't make it because I really wanted to be there, but there's just so
Are
much
you
going
still
on.
talking about that from
I
2019?
am, of course, yeah, because,
It
I
was
wanted to come.
awesome though. It was our
I
10th
know.
anniversary and it
Yeah.
was dope. We had a good time.
Yeah, okay, just lie to me and tell me it sucked.
It sucked. It really, really sucked, Lyndon. So,
Thanks for
you know,
that.
but listen, when I read your IMDb profile, I see some favorite films that you haven't mentioned. Like which projects you mentioned
Oh,
about 20 features you've worked on. Tell us
yeah.
about some of the projects you've actually worked on.
So, yeah, I am part of the Matrix trilogy. So it ranges from, I mean, back as far as the second Babe film, but then, Matrix trilogy, Happy Feet, Chipmunks, Sucker Punch, Tree of Life. Yeah, there's been a bunch.
Terrence Malick's Tree of Life,
Yeah,
and that was in
yeah.
Cannes one year.
Yes, it was actually won. It won the Palme d'Or. Yeah.
Yeah, were you there in Cannes?
No, 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 no. I didn't go, but I directed the animation on all those dinosaur sequences. So
Yeah,
that's my work. Yeah.
that's awesome. I remember seeing that in
Yeah.
Cannes, and I guess it doesn't go down as not as far, but as far as the animator that actually takes the trip, or was it not a priority? Like, why didn't?
No, I wasn't. I mean, no, that was, it was below the line, but still, it wasn't a significant a part of the film.
Okay,
I don't know. I guess who you talk to. I don't know. Look, I didn't get an invitation. I wasn't expecting one, so I
okay,
didn't feel slighted by that. But
okay.
it does play a role in the film. I mean, enough of it that he put it in there. But no,
Absolutely. No, I was just
yeah,
curious, just curious about that. And
yeah.
then as for animators,
Uh-huh.
VFX artists, once you're done the project, you're done the project. You kind of drop it. So you're not directly involved. It's not maybe a passion project for you. Once it's done, it's done. You're on to the next
Well,
thing.
yeah, for something like that, it's a work for hire. So you're just a hired gun. So yeah, I just move on to the next one. But not to say that while I'm doing it, I'm invested in it. I want to be proud of the work. And do it to the best of my ability, and to make sure that not only the production's happy, but that it's pleasing to an audience. If it serves the story of the film, if the film's whether the film's good or not, that's beyond my control. um, unless I try, unless I, can have some input in it to some degree, but it's not my film. So I can't be married to it to that respect, to
Got
that
it.
degree, But some of them you really do get into, like, I'll say with Happy Feet, George Miller was such a joy to work with that George would actually sit down with you and listen to notes that you had about his film. He's that collaborative. So we actually had a meeting like that for Happy Feet. Now, whether to say that um, he took the notes, and I don't know, but he was writing them down. um, and I would like to say that somewhere in the sequence, that I noticed something that I had mentioned, but George, he's but again, he's just that collaborative. And
Okay.
so the fact that it's very rare to find a director who will sit down with you like that, who's interested in what you have to say, and will sit down and engage you over lunch. Just he and I. So I will never forget that. He's just a sweet guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's awesome. And that brings me to one of my questions. It's a little out of sequence, but that's
Hmm.
okay because we're going to let this thing flow.
Okay.
What is the collaboration process like in the world of animation as an animation director? Do you have input with the directors and the producers, and how does
Oh
it
yeah.
all come together?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my involvement is really from script to screen. You get the script, and if there's any artwork that comes with that in terms of storyboards, you go through that because it all has to be broken down into the number of shots and how much screen time, and then the complexity of each shot. How many characters are involved, if it's a live action thing, if the characters have to interact with actors. So in that respect, you're required to be on screen. I mean, you're required to be on set
Yeah.
for a lot of it, not all the time, but a lot of times you are, just so they get the performances right with the interaction, because they're interacting with imaginary characters. So you have to be on set, so you get to work with the actors, you get to work with the directors, you also get to work with the producers, and get in those meetings where everybody's yelling at each other and trying to have a say in what's right and what's wrong. So it's fun. But then, so after the shooting phase, so for us, when principal photography is done, then we have to do the work in the post phase. So then still you're constantly, interacting with the director and the studio, just to make sure things are on schedule, on budget as much as they can be, and just, meeting the deadlines. But so in that respect, then I'm working with the artists in terms of character design, the character modeling, the character rigging, where all the controls are put on. Then the animators get it, so I'm directing the animators for the performances and making sure everything's going to the pipeline, so it's all lit right properly, and then composited properly, and then output. And even if we have to do a pre-visualization, which is a moving storyboard before that, the whole shebang. So
Okay.
there are a lot of hats to wear.
Okay.
And your teams could be anywhere from 5 to 50 to 100 animators, because it's so global now. I think
Oh,
on
wow.
Chipmunks I had 75 animators, and because there's so many shots, and the schedule was like, we had to do it over the summer, but I had like 60 animators in one studio and another 15 in India. So it makes it fun.
Wow.
It's challenging, but it's fun.
Yeah, that sounds that sounds very challenging, trying to manage all those people, all those personalities, all the ideas, kind of like in one thing. So do you find that as the animation director, are you more technical or are you more creative?
Oh, I'm definitely more creative, because I enjoy it when it's more artistic, but I mean, I'm as technical as I have to be. I don't write software, and I don't do a lot of technical things that software and IT guys do. But there are a lot of incredible people like writing the tools for us to use. So, but I need to be aware of that stuff so I can communicate with those people what we need, what the artists need in terms of making workflows more efficient. So like, I mean, personally, I don't have a computer science background, because as
Yeah.
an artist, you really don't need that. But you do need to be able to navigate, you have to have an understanding of software and how these things work. So that's where the technicalities come in, and a nice, good foundation in math and all. But no, it's definitely more artistic, because even
Okay.
as a technical tool, there are very artistically driven things you can do with them. Yeah,
Okay.
you have
So
to remain creative.
with that and the way that you explained that, how
Mhm.
long is the production process for an animated project? From pre-production all the way up to post and on screen?
It just depends. It depends on the film and the complexity, and whether it's a live action film that involves, but it's a hybrid, a live action visual effects film that involves a lot of animation and special effects, or if it's a straight animated film. So you know, most animated features take a few years from script to screen, because you go from the script phase to the design phase and storyboard. Like a lot of it works in tandem, but it takes a while to hone in those creative decisions and those aesthetic and artistic decisions before it actually gets to the animators and into production. So I'd say the physical production on an animated feature probably is a year. Could be
Okay.
less, could be more, it just depends. But a lot of pre-pro before that, like even the writing of the script, can take longer. But And then there's some things I'd say, because I want to say Chipmunks was probably a 9-month production from storyboard and character design to final. But The Matrix, Reload and Revolutions was 18 months,
Okay.
and a lot of that was spent in Sydney and then the Bay Area where we did all the work. So,
Okay.
so I've got, yeah, I think that's probably the longest I spent on a project,
18 months.
I believe so. I believe so,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, it just depends. I mean, some guys, like I say, if you look at the Pixar paradigm and Disney features and Warner, and even Sony, a lot of those films, those animated features are done over like, probably a minimum of 2 years, you know. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it just depends. It just, like I said, it just depends on the complexity. There's no
Okay.
set time.
Okay. So in your bio, it says that you went to Cal Arts and that
Mhm.
you, um, got some accolades while you were in your master's program. But
Mhm.
what led you to a career in animation? So Cal Arts, okay, yeah, the animation is a possibility, but what led you there? Where'd you go to undergrad? What did you do prior to animation, and how did you decide that that's what you wanted to do in the area of focus?
Okay, well, I always wanted to be an artist, and I always had an interest in film. I just didn't know how I was going to combine those two things. Even though film is an artistic medium, when you're growing up, you don't really see it that way. You just look when you're just watching a movie, but that's what it is. Um, but it's from the miniatures that you talked about. Like I was showing them while you were describing them. I was putting them up on screen. So
Oh,
it's
I
these
missed that.
guys. Yeah, these are the guys that are made out of the chewing gum wrappers. And so I've been making these since I was a kid. And you know, see if I do that with Ali, or he can actually put his hands up. I wanted to watch them actually animate. I wanted to actually make them do it. So I went to Cal Arts after I finished my undergrad at Xavier, to go for a master's to actually learn how to animate these. And then that was my segue into film. And
Okay.
it's interesting. It's odd because I actually wanted to come to LA and actually start It's a Rapper Studios
Okay.
and just do these full time. But I also wanted to see my name on the screen. So I chased the opportunities to work on movies.
Okay, okay. Well, that's fair, but you can still make the portraitures,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
portraits.
yeah,
So
I never stopped. Yeah.
that's the best of both worlds, really,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now, okay, so then you left Xavier to come to Cal Arts to be an artist, and so upon completion of that degree,
Well, what are we talking about? I was an artist in New Orleans.
okay, okay,
I was an artist. I was a graphic artist, but I went to school and got my BFA, my Bachelor of Fine
I
Arts
know,
degree.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I went to Xavier to do film. Yeah, to learn animation and film because I hadn't done any of it in New Orleans. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And so then what was your career trajectory like from there? So Cal Arts,
Hmm.
then what? Like, so now we're trying to show filmmakers what the foray is into the business. We understand every path will be different, but what did you do?
Yep. Like everybody else, I hustled. I hustled my way in. You take advantage of all the contacts you've made. You follow up on them. You just chase things. My first job after graduation, and granted, this took 9 months. Well, my first job was going to be Mars Attacks
Okay.
because at the time Mars Attacks was all stop motion. All the animation in Mars Attacks was going to be stop motion, and so I had like 3 meetings at Warner Brothers to get a start date because they kept pushing it. And then when they finally pushed it the last time, they scrapped it because they scrapped all the stop motion work to do it all CG. Because
So,
at the
okay, so let
time,
me let me stop you right here because
okay,
it's like you came here, you were living here for 9 months, and then all of a sudden you had a meeting with Warner Brothers.
no,
Like,
no,
what?
no, 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 hold on, no.
Okay,
What the 9 months was that I finally landed a job 9 months after graduation. from Cal Arts. But in the interim, I would have started on Mars Attacks if they had kept the stop motion work, but they
Okay.
scrapped it and went digital
Okay.
because Jurassic Park was out and Toy Story, and it was the new flavor, and everybody wanted to taste the new flavor of, you know, computer graphics. So I lost my job to computer work before I even started it.
Yeah, but I'm still curious how you even, like Mars Attack, that's a big film, right?
Yeah.
So how did you even get that? Like, what were you doing? Like, you were hustling, but like, what did that hustle look like? Like, I spoke to Doreen Spicer Danley yesterday, and she was
Okay.
like, I was walking up Wilshire in my blue suit, knocking on doors, and then I was in Aaron Spelling's. I went in the lobby, and then I got upstairs, and the receptionist was like, how'd you get up here? And she was like, the elevator. So like, like,
Right answer.
right, exactly. So Mars Attack, yeah, but what were you doing in those 9 months? Who did you meet? How did you meet them?
Oh, well, God, that's a good question. I'm trying to even remember. I just know that between, I mean, in those days, there was no internet because this was what, like 95, 96.
Yeah.
So I would just comb the trades, looking
Okay.
for opportunities.
Okay.
You know, yeah, because Deadline wasn't even around then. So it was basically Hollywood Reporter, the LA 411, and Variety,
Yeah.
But I think those were the main three. So you just comb the trades, and then you try to, like, people you've made contacts with, it's getting information from them because everyone's got a beat on
Yeah.
something that's happening. So I did like 2 days of work at, like, say, like Boss Films, when Boss Films was around. And then I had made connections with the guys there who are also like animators and visual effects guys. They were doing stop motion work. And the main direct stop motion guy there, the animation director, I hooked up with that crew, did some work there, and like did a commercial here and there. And so those people, when your reputation starts to spread,
Yeah.
and people, hopefully when things come up, they'll think about you.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure how I even got the notice, and it could have even been through Cal Arts,
Okay.
where they were looking for animators, because they do have a recruiting thing. But I honestly don't remember how I got the call or found out about it to actually go in for interviews.
Okay.
But it's all part of the hustle,
Yeah.
and when these things come up, you just have to follow through on them and just chase them, like shamelessly, until people just say, God, no, like, just get the fuck out of my face. But until then, no, you just do it. You know what I mean? So there's no rule. You just gotta, find your way in and hustle your way in and be ready when those opportunities come, because they are gonna come. It's showbiz. It could have, I could have. It's one of those things where you could have walked into a job right after graduation with your diploma in your hand, or you get the opportunity 10 years from there. You don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's showbiz. There's no rule. You just don't know. So
Yeah.
you just have to be ready when the time comes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
absolutely, just as a person, as a professional, I
Mm-hmm.
always tell folk, like, shoot your shot. Like, whatever
Yeah.
that means to you, like, shoot your shot. And I know we're not talking about Janine, but that's how I met Janine.
Yeah.
Really. I was working NAACP Image
Mm-hmm.
Awards, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw her standing off to the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew she was a nominee because I was working the event, right? And
You're working the red carpet. Yeah.
and I also was working, like, I did the viewer's guide. So I knew who she was, but she was standing over to the side. And I'm like, are you going to come down the red carpet? But I was working, and she was like, no, whatever. I was like, come on, I'll walk you down. Got her some press. And I think that was maybe like some of her first, I don't want to say first, like, press, but like she hadn't had a lot of press prior to that, I think. And then she was like, okay, well, I want you to walk me down for Friday. So like she hired me on the spot, even though I was already
Right,
working a job to
right.
escort her down the carpet. So listen, you always have to shoot your shot and you always have to
Yeah,
kind of take advantage of the atmosphere that you're in and
yeah,
the environments that you're in. So
yeah. And when you see people like that, you can't be afraid to talk to them,
right.
because you never know who you're going to meet, what impact it's going to make. You just don't know. Um, yeah, you just got to
Absolutely
do
not. So if you were to give some advice
it.
to, like I said, filmmakers interested in animation, exploring the
Mhm,
possibility of animation, in addition to
mhm,
the hustle, what would you
mhm.
say are your top tips for them?
Just practice, 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 and learn the craft, because it is a very disciplined craft to be an animator, or even just to work within the animation umbrella, because there are lots of things under that umbrella. You're not, I'm a character animator, so that's my expertise under the umbrella. But like I said, there's the character designers, there's the story artists, there's the storyboard artists. Story artists are storyboard artists. Um, there's the lighters, there's compositors, there's modelers who build all the things, the characters and environments in CG, or drawing them, what I mean? Then there's, like I said, the compositors. There's all these many things. There's match move artists, who take all this footage and, make sure that everything is lining up properly. There's so many things under the umbrella that, there are many careers. So I think you just have to find which one of those areas you're most comfortable in, or most interested in. Let's just put it that way, most interested in. Because we're not all interested in the same thing.
Okay.
I don't have like I don't since my expertise is character animation. I mean, and there's even effects animation where you're making fire and explosions and storms and all this stuff. Like there's so many things. My main interest lies in performance, and so that's what I always was driven toward, and that's what I learned and chased. But there are lots of areas.
Mhm.
But just do the work, learn the craft and do the work. And it is the work of being an artist. So, crucial art training to me, and most animators or most animation artists that I know, is very crucial. I don't know anyone who like does it for a hobby or thought they could do it as a hobby. We're all trained. And if you have not had any training and you're excelling at this, that's just by far an exception, and like that is just not a normal thing. So I grew up drawing and doing all that stuff, but I actually had to learn the craft of how to draw and how to sculpt and how to do that stuff, to where it had some artistic merit that will transfer into a commercial film world. You know what I mean? And to be able to work at things at a high level like that. You know.
Wow. Wow.
But
And so,
but like I said, it's the constant work, it's the constant practice. I mean, I'm in between. This call is between now. I'm working on sculptures for an upcoming museum show. So it's a constant. I'm always doing it. And then right behind me here, is my whole computer set up to do my Unreal Engine work. So
okay.
it's always something going on that
Can
has to
you
do with
show me,
art.
do you mind showing me your setup?
Oh well,
This is,
yeah. So
okay. So you have at least two screens.
yeah, that one and this one. Yeah. Well, I got four here actually. I'm talking to you on one, and there's another one here, and then this one and this one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So but no, so it's something's constantly always going. I mean, because this system that we're communicating on now is a Mac,
Okay.
it's an Apple, and then this is a PC over here. So that's why I have dual platforms like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So listen,
because Unreal won't run on this Mac. It's got to run on that machine.
Okay, okay. So so I cut you off because I just couldn't imagine that you jumped from school to the job, right? So I didn't give you
Mhm.
a chance to, I apologize, I didn't give you a chance to talk about like your career progression. So
Mhm.
can you give us a quick snapshot of that and then think about it in the as it pertains to diversity in animation and inclusion in animation, like
Mhm.
how has it played a part in it, and what's it like as a Black animator, or are you just an animator because the field is so technical and you are
Yeah.
trained in it, like how's that for?
Yeah. No, I'm just an animator. I don't, I consider myself an animator just like any other animator, whether white, Hispanic, Asian, Latin, Native American. It doesn't. We're all animators, so we're all driven to do this. Um, and it's interesting because the first job I got, there are not a lot of us in the field. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot, but there's more than you might think. So we're not. We have a small presence, but it's growing, and part of my job is to see that it grows. When I first started out professionally, at the studio Rhythm and Hues, there were two of the people there were managing their departments, and they were two brothers. So one was Jerome Solomon, who ran he was manager over like the technical software department, the lighters and stuff, the lighting artists. And then Keith Hunter, who was the modeling manager, he ran that department. So it was refreshing for me to see that when I went, when I got interviewed, and then when I got hired by that studio. I thought that was cool.
Okay.
So so but so it's weird because you get in and you start doing the work, you get real, productive and efficient. So I'm always on the lookout for other, other Black artists like myself, male, female, it doesn't matter. I'm just always looking for artists. Because I want to know who else is out there that you can form a bond with, you can encourage, and then um, help bring in other people. And so you
Yeah.
do meet those folks every now and then. But the thing is, you get so much into the work, and you get so driven in what you're doing that you don't even. It never even occurred to me that we were anomalies, that we were
Okay.
unicorns,
Mm-hmm.
until you think back on it and go, shit. And then when you see, all the nominations and people who are coming up to get the nominations and the accolades, and you see it's a lot of people who look the same,
Yeah.
and you just go, all this work we've been doing for all this time, like, we are not getting those opportunities to get on stage to do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the presence is crucial. um and I want to see again, like, I could name, 20 of us or more who's helped people win Oscars, including myself, you know, but who have not had the chance. I mean, I got on the ballot one time when I did the Thing prequel. I was on the ballot for a Visual Effects Society award, and it's one of the awards that's a stepping stone to get an Oscar nomination. But we didn't. That was
Okay.
as far as we got. But to be on films that actually won or came close, like I said, Happy Feet. I worked on that. George won his Oscar for that. He won his first Oscar for that. And then being part of other films I did, that have been nominated or whatever. You know, so we do contribute. But again, I want to see. I was so glad to see Pete Pete get his Oscar for Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
Pete Ramsey,
Okay.
but we've got to see more of that because, like I said, a lot of us are out there doing the work,
Yeah.
and we're doing it at a level that, I mean, I know there are other supervisors like myself, like whether they're visual effects supervisors, whether they're animation supervisors, whether they're you know, CG supervisors, whatever. Like we're out there. We just have to, again, just keep chipping away at it. Because I'm waiting to see when one of us gets up there as a nominee or as a winner.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
And so in the animation world, excuse my ignorance, what would be the award? Like what would be the role? What's the role that you would get the nomination for?
It's a visual effects Oscar. That's what I'm talking about. I
The
mean, that's
visual,
the echelon. Yeah. So
right.
when you see people go up there to get
No, but I guess, do you have to be the visual effects director, or do you have to be the visual, like what's your role you have to be to
okay,
get that?
I'm going to break it down to you.
Okay.
It depends on where's your contribution in the film. So let's say a film like Avengers that requires tons of character animation work. I would be on the ballot as the animation supervisor.
Okay.
So you have the visual effects supervisor. Most of it are those people, because the visual effects supervisors oversee all of the visual effects.
Got
So you know everything. You know, the animation, the compositing, the vision, not the character animation, as well as the effects animation, the whole shebang. They're overseeing everything. So they're like the visual effects director, but its title is visual effects supervisor. And then you have, you know, maybe a CG supervisor. But another crucial role to that is animation supervisor, which is
Okay.
my role, because you know they got to perform. You know, so someone has to direct those performances. And
Okay.
the visual effect, and that's why they're all, you know, as much as the visual effects supervisors have to oversee, most of them's forte isn't animation. So
Okay.
someone has to be able to oversee the animation to make sure it all works, you know, properly within the production. So I would be on the ballot as the animation supervisor or the animation director, either one. I mean, they're kind of the same thing, but yeah. So again, I know. So when you see these films come up for the Academy Award in visual effects, you know, some of those people that are nominated are the animation supervisors.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Absolutely. I got it and I understand it.
yeah.
I want to touch on something really quickly that I read with your bio. You said that you
Uh-huh.
do all of your work on the iPhone.
My personal work, when I animate the
Yeah.
miniatures, it's all shot on iPhones. Yeah.
Yeah, and so to me, and Spike Lee had said it like years ago, the whole filming on the cell phone kind of democratizes the industry. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that that creates more opportunity? And if so, is it just indie opportunities, or does it lead to even better opportunities, maybe like studio opportunities? Or or for emerging filmmakers, like, would you consider it just a start? How how tied to you?
No, no. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. It all comes down to story.
Okay,
Story is king.
okay,
Okay, because there are lots of garbage stories that have been shot on, you know, you know,
okay,
Panavisions and Arriflex cameras. Doesn't matter. There are lots of garbage stories and movies that have been made, you know, at $100 million or more. It doesn't matter. It all comes down to story.
okay,
So if you have a great story, you could shoot it on anything. As long as you know, as long as you have a vision of how you want, you know, how you want to shoot it, how you want it to look, and how you want to edit it, how you want to tell the story. So yes, lot of incredible things have been done on iPhones. I mean, Tangerine is one that was shot on iPhone. You
oh, that's
know,
funny you mentioned Tangerine. Darren Dean, I just had a canned conversation with him
yeah.
yesterday.
Okay. See, so it doesn't matter. And yes, that can lead to big budget things. It all just comes down to story and how well a storyteller you are. You know, so I would encourage everyone to shoot with this. I mean, this thing's a studio. I shoot, I edit, I do everything on this thing because they're powerful. The
Okay.
cameras are incredible. The apps are awesome. And when they project, nobody knows they were shot on phones. Nobody knows. I mean, my films have screened in festivals, have been shot on these things. Nobody knows.
That's awesome.
And
So,
nobody knows they're this.
oh, well, I can't with this background. Here's my iPhone.
Yeah,
And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shoot something on this iPhone, right?
yeah.
But my
Just
question
make
is,
sure you shoot it this way,
okay, right,
not this
okay,
way. Shoot it
okay.
this way. Yes.
But
Shoot it
so,
in 16:9.
okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So then what other apps do I need to kind of make a, in addition to my wonderful story, what other
Mhm.
apps do I need to kind of make this thing a hit?
Well, I mean, I personally shoot on Stop Motion Studio because it's a stop motion app, so I can shoot single frame. But there's Filmic, I think, is a really good like live action app. But even the camera itself, if you did that and just took that footage and just got some cool editing, apps. There's lots of them. I don't know like what's the top of the line. Um, I just know what I use for my animation, but
Yeah,
even
so
for
what,
film,
yeah, so
hmm,
what'd you use?
mine is called Stop Motion Studio.
You said that, okay.
Yeah,
And you did
and it's
everything, so once you shot it, you did everything else in there?
I shoot on Stop Motion Studio, then I'll put that in iMovie or something called Video Leap. Because Video Leap is a really cool editing app, and they all spit out to 4K. So it's all broadcast and projection quality. And then I do a lot of my facial compositing and rig cleanup in Photoshop.
Okay,
So yeah, I'll just throw it in the computer here and just do that on Photoshop. I'll paint stuff out.
okay, so you
So
guys,
yeah,
you guys heard it here first. Lyndon Barrois is using what, stop motion studio.
Stop motion studio,
He
Video
uses
Leap,
video, iMovie,
and iMovie, yeah,
and
and
Photoshop,
Photoshop. Yeah,
and he's making movies.
yeah.
There you
Anybody
have,
could do it.
there you
Anybody,
have
yeah.
it, guys.
Anybody
Get
can do
your
it.
get your hustle on, do the
Yeah.
work, use your iPhone, do the work again, get your hustle on, and repeat.
There you go. Yes, yeah.
Right? So what's next for you?
Next is I'm going to be doing, it looks like I'm going to be doing a project with Epic, and then a project possibly with Braun. One I'm directing is an animated short, and the other one is an animation director on a project. And then again,
Okay.
like I said, this upcoming museum show that I'm on this deadline for right now that I have to get finished. So that show opens in April at Mass Mocha. It's the artist Glenn Kino's show, and he asked me if I would make a bunch of miniatures for the show. So
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
so
So
a lot
listen,
of a lot of things. Mhm.
in closing, do you have any parting words for filmmakers other than what we just said? Do you have anything pressing, anything that they just need to know?
I think whoever's listening, just believe in what you're doing. Be passionately driven by it. And just like learn the craft and practice, but don't try to do things based on the market, what people want to see. I think you have to do work that's driven by your heart and the passion that you want to, how passionate you are about telling your story. Do that, and I think everything will fall into place, you know. But constantly, practice and do the work, take the criticism, learn from it all, know your competition, and just know what you're up against, and don't get discouraged by any obstacles, because there are going to be a ton of obstacles. There's a lot of opportunities I didn't get, but so what? Shit happens. You just got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
And just believe that. So here's the thing: I was always driven by, if I saw a movie or even going around town, if I saw these billboards and all this, I was always driven by shit. I want to do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If all those names up there are on that poster and all those names in the credits, why can't one of those names be mine? And that's how I always looked at it. And so that's how everyone should look at it, because none of this shit is, uh, nobody should feel like none of these opportunities
Are for them.
are for them, because that's where we get counted out. The minute we believe that, we've counted ourselves out. So don't do that shit, you know?
Right.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Every time I've stepped in a studio or on set, I always went in with the swag that I belonged there because I had a job to do. It's not that somebody gave me any favors or anything. I got hired to do a job, and I got hired because of my expertise, and it's the expertise that I trained and worked for. So, yes, people will give you opportunities, and somebody's got to give you your first shot. But again, you take the humility, you be humble about it, but also take command of it. You know what I mean? So take command of it
Yeah.
and just get the respect.
I think, could this be something you're talking about? I know oftentimes just in jobs and careers, folks aren't negotiating their worth because sometimes they're just happy to be there, right?
Hmm.
They didn't just bring you here. You're qualified to be here, so get what you deserve, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, yes, but again, that comes with learning and some experience. So you may do that the first or second opportunity, but the third one, no, you've earned that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even after and let's just say the first opportunity, if you work that opportunity for a few years, you've earned it. You've earned the second one to be that way. You know what I mean? There's a point where where you have a command of what you're doing, where you have to be confident and know
Yeah.
that yes, you can negotiate, not just take things because like it's a favor or someone's doing you a solid. No, like
Yeah.
there is a point where you're being sought out because you you do the work. But and again, like there are going to be obstacles, and there are going to be racial obstacles and all that shit. But you can't be defeated by it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm sure I've faced racism,
Mhm.
um, but I never let it hinder me or use it as a crutch. And I've never fall. It was never my first fallback. I said, okay, I didn't get this shit, but what I got to do to get the next one.
Yeah.
But there are some things that say, okay, so like I came off directing animation on The Matrix Reloaded Revolutions, and was going for another movie at another studio. And I was asked if I'd go in as a senior animator as opposed to the animation supervisor. I'm like, you guys out of your fucking minds? Like, what are you talking about? So,
Right.
in that respect, you gotta have the confidence in yourself to not take demotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I had let that studio play me that way, I would have written my ticket to get played for the rest of my career. You
Exactly.
gotta be you gotta be careful of that shit.
So you acknowledge the possibility of the racism, but you don't
Yeah,
let it defeat you.
exactly. That's a perfect way to say it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, which is fair,
Yeah.
because you deserve it, we deserve it, and we have the skills to back it up. So
Yes.
that's,
Yes.
that's awesome. I like
You gotta
that.
back it
I
up.
like
You
that.
gotta back it up.
Well, Lyndon, it's been a pleasure.
This was a blast. Thanks so much,
Th-
Yolanda. I really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to me.
Anytime.
I
Anytime.
appreciate it. And I'm going to just close with saying, listen, Janine, Lyndon, you guys are a power couple. You guys are
Oh,
doing
I'm
it.
trying I'm trying to keep up with her.
Listen, but you guys are doing it. You're in your lane, she's in her lane, right?
Yeah,
Y'all tearing up the highway.
I hope so.
So keep up the
in
good
a
work,
good
guys.
way. Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right. Have a good one.
And thanks, guys. Look, if anybody wants to reach out and
Oh,
ask
yeah.
me anything, yeah, feel free. I'm too accessible.
What's your socials?
Well, it's a rapper on Instagram, at ITS, yeah, ITSAWRAPPER. It's a rapper. So rapper with a W, because these are gum rappers.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly. That's awesome.
And then on Facebook, just by my name, Lyndon Barrois, but yeah. And
So there you have
if you
it.
get, yeah.
No, go ahead.
You
Go
might
ahead.
you might come across my son, so just he's an artist also, so it might be some confusion, but you see my face, so
See
he's
that
not me.
handsome face. There you have it, guys. If you're trying to reach Lyndon Barrois, he's accessible.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
rapper on Instagram. He's Lyndon Barrois on Facebook. Reach out to him and make it happen, guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
We see you. We see
yeah,
you. We see you. Thank you so much.
yes. I mean, this is part of we got to give back like this. So please, please do, guys. Anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right, thank you. My God, stay
Bye,
safe
guys.
out there.